Jeffrey Sachs is a name that reverberates through the corridors of global economics and policy. A man whose influence has shaped debates on poverty, development, climate change, and social justice. His story is not just that of an economist, but a political figure whose ideas have spurred massive change and heated opposition alike. This biography will take you through the life of Jeffrey Sachs, from his early days to his controversial stance on global economics, his challenges, and his lasting impact on the world stage. Born on November 5, 1954, in Detroit, Michigan, Jeffrey Sachs grew up in a Jewish family that valued education and intellectualism. His father, an attorney, and his mother, a clinical psychologist, fostered an environment where learning was emphasized and critical thinking was encouraged. From an early age, Sachs showed an aptitude for problem-solving, a trait that would guide him in his future career as an economist. Sachs attended Harvard University, where he studied economics, an area of study that sparked his lifelong interest in understanding the systems that shape the world. After earning his bachelor's degree in 1976, he went on to complete his PhD in economics at Harvard in 1980. His early academic work set the stage for his future contributions to global development, particularly his focus on the economics of poverty. While still at Harvard, Sachs developed a reputation for his deep understanding of international development and poverty alleviation. His research would ultimately position him as a leading figure in the emerging field of development economics, and by the 1980s, he was already advising various governments on economic reform. Sachs was deeply concerned with the plight of the poor, and his work often centered on how to address the structural problems, preventing them from escaping poverty. Sachs's breakthrough moment came in the 1980s, when he was invited to consult for several Latin American governments on economic reforms. He became a trusted advisor to Bolivia, which was experiencing one of the worst economic crises in its history. Sachs's shock therapy approach, which involved rapid liberalization, market reforms, and privatization, was controversial but gained attention. His work in Bolivia ultimately led to dramatic improvements in the country's economy, even though critics have since pointed out that the approach often came with significant social costs, including increased inequality. But it wasn't just in Latin America where Sachs's ideas would make waves. In the former Soviet Union, Sachs played a crucial role in the transition from communism to capitalism. As an advisor to Mikhail Gorbachev and later to Boris Yeltsin, Sachs helped steer the post-Soviet economies through their difficult reforms. However, the results were mixed, and many critics argue that Sachs's advice, which leaned heavily on privatization and market-driven reforms, contributed to the rise of oligarchs in Russia and the vast wealth disparities that followed the collapse of the Soviet Union. Despite the criticisms, Sachs's influence continued to grow. By the 1990s, he was a global advisor to numerous countries in crisis, including Poland, Russia, and China. Sachs's ability to craft economic strategies that balanced market reforms with social safety nets made him a key player in international development circles. Sachs's ideas on global development caught the attention of international organizations like the World Bank and the United Nations, where he would later serve as a special advisor. His most notable role was his work on the United Nations Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, a set of targets aimed at reducing poverty, improving health, and achieving universal education by 2015. Sachs's leadership in crafting these goals earned him recognition as a key figure in the fight against global poverty. In the 2000s, Sachs became a prominent advocate for sustainable development and climate change mitigation, linking the economic development of poor countries to the health of the planet. He became a strong advocate for reducing carbon emissions and pushing for renewable energy solutions. arguing that economic growth and environmental sustainability should not be seen as opposing forces. His 2005 book, The End of Poverty, became a landmark work, detailing his vision for a world where extreme poverty could be eradicated within our lifetimes. Sachs argued that with the right policies, international cooperation, and technological advances, it was possible to eliminate the scourge of poverty and build a more just world. However, Sachs's career has not been without its controversies. His approach to economic development, particularly his advocacy for free market solutions, has faced criticism, particularly in countries like Argentina and Russia, where his reforms have been blamed for exacerbating inequality and fueling economic instability. Critics have accused him of imposing Western-centric solutions that were ill-suited to local contexts. Some argue that Sachs's reliance on market-based reforms ignored the social realities of many of the countries he worked with. One of the most significant criticisms Sachs has faced is his association with the Washington Consensus, a set of economic policies that emphasizes free markets, deregulation, and privatization. This framework was promoted by international financial institutions like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank in the 1990s. And Sachs was often seen as a key advocate. While these policies are credited with driving growth in some regions, they are also blamed for increasing inequality, financial instability, and environmental degradation. Despite these criticisms, Sachs's influence has remained undeniable. He has served as a professor of economics at Columbia University for many years and has continued to shape the discourse around global development. His work on poverty and inequality continues to resonate with scholars, activists, and policymakers who believe in the power of economics to drive social change. Sachs's views on religion and spirituality are also worth noting. While not particularly religious, Sachs has expressed a deep interest in how faith and religion intersect with development. His work with the UN on the Millennium Development Goals highlighted the importance of religious communities in fostering positive social change. He has often spoken about the role of spirituality in motivating people to work for the common good, and how religions can provide valuable ethical frameworks for tackling the world's most pressing issues. Sachs's approach to religion is practical. He sees faith as a motivating force, but does not subscribe to a specific religious doctrine. He has publicly acknowledged the importance of interfaith dialogue in addressing global challenges like poverty and climate change. In recent years, Sachs has become increasingly vocal about his opposition to US foreign policy, especially with regard to its interventions in the Middle East and its stance on climate change. He has been an outspoken critic of American militarism and the policies of the Trump administration, and he has urged the US to take stronger action on climate change and development issues. He has also criticized the way in which economic policies have been used to enrich the few at the expense of the many, particularly in the context of the global financial crisis of 2008 and its aftermath. Sachs's work in recent years has focused on sustainable development and climate change. He is a staunch advocate for a Green New Deal and has urged governments to adopt policies that promote environmental sustainability while lifting people out of poverty. He believes that tackling climate change is the single most important issue facing humanity, and that economic solutions must be part of the strategy. Sachs has called for a global carbon tax, the expansion of renewable energy, and significant investments in green infrastructure. Through it all, Sachs's life has been defined by his commitment to global equality and his belief in the power of economic systems to bring about social change. His work on poverty, climate change, and sustainable development has made him one of the most influential economists of the past half-century. Yet his story is also one of complexity and contradiction. While his ideas have sparked incredible change, they have also faced significant resistance. Sachs has never shied away from controversy, and that has earned him both passionate supporters and fierce critics. As of today, Jeffrey Sachs remains a polarizing figure in the world of economics. To many, he is a visionary who has dedicated his life to the fight against poverty, inequality, and climate change. To others, he is a representative of the Western economic order that has often overlooked the needs of developing nations. But regardless of how one views his legacy, it is impossible to ignore the profound impact Sachs has had on the field of development economics, and his ideas continue to shape the conversation about the future of global economic justice. In a world where ideas often clash, Jeffrey Sachs's unwavering commitment to creating a more equitable world has made him both a champion and a controversial figure. His life's work stands as a testament to the power of economics in shaping societies, and his journey is one that will continue to unfold as long as poverty, inequality, and environmental degradation remain among the world's greatest challenges.